Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is John Campea, and this is our Game of Thrones open forum discussion. If you haven't seen tonight's episode of Game of Thrones Season 8, Episode 1, you don't want to watch this because we're going to talk totally open, total spoilery about all the things we just saw. I'm not going to lie to you. I freaking loved this episode. So much drama, some great reunions. This was like a big setup for the rest of the season. I loved it. They did more in this episode than I thought they were going to. Hello, John now knows about the fact that he is who he is, which I think is pretty awesome. So anyway, of course, I'm not alone here today. I am joined by Team Amazing and Campea and Kaori Takee. Hey guys, how you doing?
Hello.
Yay, so excited to talk this.
And we're excited to have you guys here talking about all this stuff. So let's get right into it and just start with it. So we're just going to talk about this episode for a few minutes, guys. And then what I really want the most, the big thing about this to be is you guys. I want to hear from you guys and what it is you guys are talking about. I want to hear what you guys have to say. A bunch of you guys have already been firing on a whole ton of stuff in the live chat. Okay, highlights for me. I'll start off with me to make it easy. Highlights for me. Obviously, Samwise Gamgee, or what's his, Sam...
Tarly.
Sam Tarly, yeah. Sam Tarly telling... I didn't know they were going to do this in the very first episode, telling Jon Snow who he is, which, you know, of course, the fact that he was able to ride the dragon should have said a little bit of that. Sansa reuniting with
Tyrion
Lannister. Awesome. I've been wanting to see that. Then you got Jon Snow reuniting with Arya, which is great. Jon Snow reuniting with Bran, which is great. I mean, all this stuff setting up, and then Jon and Sam meeting. It was just, listen, what I said to you guys when we were watching it was that for an episode that had nothing happen in it, I felt like a hell of a lot of things happened in it. I love this. This is a show that doesn't have to have dragons flying around, which there was dragons flying around. It doesn't have to have big battles for this show to be incredibly engaging. It doesn't have to have tons of swordplay for it to be incredibly exciting. I was hanging on every dramatic moment in this episode. I loved this episode. I thought it was great. I mean, first of all, and what's her, Mormont? What's Lady Mormont's first name again?
Lyanna.
The little girl? What's her name?
Lyanna.
Lyanna, baddest ass character in this entire show. Not just this episode. She's the baddest ass character there has ever been in this show. I love this girl. She stands up and just gets right in Jon Snow's face. I freaking love that. And then Jon gave one of the great lines. He goes, I had a choice, protect my crown or protect the North. And I chose the North. I'm like, that's a king. That's a king right there. God, I love this episode. I thought it was great. So, Anne,
yes,
let's start with you. What were some of the highlights of the episode for you?
I mean, I tend to remember the end when I recap things, and I think the end is also a highlight with Bran and Jaime finally seeing each other.
That was perfect.
This, like you said, John, I think this episode was exactly what we needed it to be. It dove right into all of the relationships forming back up again. Everybody reuniting, people who haven't seen each other since season 1, now finally seeing each other in this final season of Game of Thrones. It was, like you said, there was not a lot going on in terms of what we expect Game of Thrones to deliver in terms of crazy killings and battles and things like that. But at the same time, a lot of that already happened in the seasons prior that we were just expecting kind of this gathering of all of these epic characters that they've built and all of these stories that they are now supposed to be coming to an end in this season. And that's finally culminating. And they really did a good job of kicking off this season.
Yeah.
Corey, what about you?
I mean, I'm just so glad that they got the elephant in the room out the way. First episode with Jon Snow's lineage. I think that's really, really important. And now I have less anxiety as I watch this and less anxiety for the next episode because I needed that to get out the way. I love that. I love the dragons. You see a little bit more emotions in them, especially that cute scene where the dragon watches Viserion, I think. Is that the one? Yeah, watches them about to have Nookie.
Oh, that was funny.
Drogon was like, no.
Just when you see the close-up of the dragon's face staring right at him, it's like, this is almost like a creeper. The dragon's almost like a creeper.
Yeah, I love that. I think you guys head on now, all about reunions, even people who hated each other. You know, Arya with the Hound again. Arya with, what's his name? the last part.
The Hound?
The other one.
Gendry?
Gendry.
Yeah.
Yep.
All that was just epic.
Yeah.
They did a really well played season return. We waited like over 500 days for this.
Almost 600 days.
Yeah,
we
it's
waited
crazy.
for this. And one of the things, and I'm so glad you pointed out, because I was eating up every second of this episode. Every second of this episode, I was eating it up. And then they ended it even better than I could have possibly imagined, because Jaime rides into town. It's like, cool, Jaime's riding into town. Who's he going to see? And who's he going to bump into? Is he going to bump into Tyrion, his brother? You know, is he going to bump in? I didn't even think about Bran. I didn't even think about Bran. And as he turns around and Bran's like, sup, just sitting there. It's like, and then the look on, how do you pronounce Nikolai's name? Nikolai
Walder Kostow.
I've never known how to pronounce his name properly, but the performance he gives without saying a word in that shot, as he's standing there, and it's like he realizes who he's looking at, and that look on his face, so good. I mean, this is what makes this show, in my opinion, get better and better and better, is that it's all predicated on the inter-character drama.
Yeah.
And this whole episode was about building up and getting the payoff for 7 years of inter-character drama.
Yeah.
And including that one line Sansa says to Tyrion, and it's really the first time somebody's really put him in his place and said, you know, forever I thought you were the smartest guy alive. And that hurt him.
Yeah.
But I drink and I know things. That's what I do. I'm supposed to be the smartest guy around. I just thought it was so bloody good.
A lot of the story was easily told in this episode through the reactions on their faces.
Yes.
Whereas this show normally has very heavy dialogue, driven interactions between the characters. In this episode alone, Jon Snow, his reaction to finding out he's the true king, that Tyrion's reaction to really being put in his place by Sansa. I mean, there's so much that was told just from their facial expressions. Sam learning that Daenerys had murdered his father and his brothers. Like, all of that was just told in their expressions, and it was so powerful.
I also think, to point out, not even just their expressions, but you have Jaime walk in, he takes off the cloak, he no longer has golden hair like a Lannister, he no longer looks rich, he's a little rugged. You can tell that his character has completely evolved from the jerk he was in season 1 all the way to now.
Yeah.
He's become my favorite character, really, because he's so multifaceted.
And speaking of favorite characters, to kind of the direct opposite, I'm totally good if Dany dies.
Yes.
I'm sorry, that girl has turned into a straight up jerk. That girl's a jerk. I'm your queen. I was like, she just wants to rub it. Unlike, Jon Snow, who is constantly like, I don't even want the crown. I want to serve my people. I want to protect the North. She's like, she better learn her place. I'm her queen. I'm like, somebody kill this girl. Somebody kill this jerk.
Yeah.
I mean, between her and Greyjoy, what's the name?
Euron or Theon?
Euron. Like the one who sleeps with the queen.
Yeah.
He says, I'm going to put a prince in that belly. There already is one in there, buddy. Like those two, I could totally be fine if somebody offs both of them.
Yeah, he's annoying.
But he's kind of like a Joffrey in a sense where you need a character like him around, right? Like you got to have a character like him around, that jerk. And I loved when Reek went and saved his sister.
Reek.
And the first thing she did was lay him out with a headbutt.
Yeah.
And then extended her hand. It's like, that was great. And then that little speech he gave her on the bow of the ship when they're trying to decide what to do. And he just says, you're my queen. I go where you tell me to go. It's like, oh. And she goes, you want to go fight with the Starks? And she goes, go.
And you know what's really fascinating about this episode is last season ended with the Night King and the dead dragon come to life, blowing up the wall.
Right.
We expect to come into the season with a little bit of that flavor coming in right off the bat. But you know what? They didn't need it.
No.
I mean, that is the imminent threat that is going to come through in the rest of the season. But honestly, if they had that play out in this episode, I didn't think it was necessary. I think the threat right now is just all the relationships coming together and who's going to side with who. That threat of the Night King coming through, that's going to happen soon enough, I think, in the next episode. But personally, I didn't need to see the Night King. I didn't need to see any of the White Walkers coming through in this first episode.
I wish it was a little longer, but
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, come on. Like, you're making it 6 episodes. You made us wait almost 2 years, 6 episodes, 51-minute episode.
yeah.
Come on.
And it went by like that.
It went
So
by so
fast.
Ending, of course, seeing the Trivago salesman show
Torment.
up. Seeing him again. That was great to see. Look, I for an episode without sword battles and fighting, this shows why this show is not. I'm not the biggest Game of Thrones fan in the world. I'm not. But this is the type of episode that shows why this show is so beloved, because it doesn't need to be swashbuckling and people swinging from chandeliers and big battles. It doesn't, and not every episode has to be the Battle of the Bastards or the Battle of Winterfell. And not everything has to be that. Just paying off on character drama, and I was glued to the screen. I was glued to the screen. I absolutely loved it. But I am looking forward to the Battle of Winterfell. Don't get me wrong. I'm looking forward to that a lot. All right. Listen, guys, that's hearing some stuff from us. We want to hear from you. What are you guys wanting to talk about? So we're going to go over, and we're going to start taking the live questions that you guys have been sending in. So let's go over and do that right now. We're going to start off with Alan Valley, who writes, really dig the new opening credits. Yeah, the first thing I noticed, I pointed out, it's like, oh, the wall's got the hole in it now. So the wall, they're coming through. I really did like that. The one thing I didn't like about the opening credits, though, guys, was the fact that so much of the unfolding in Gears was indoors. Like, instead of wider scoped of cities and stuff like that. So it was a little bit too indoors, but I dug it too. All right, Haskell420 writes, I swear I'd have pneumonia by the amount of chills I got. Oh, I completely agree. Right on the money. It was just like every scene I was eating up. It was just so well done. John DeBenedict writes, solid first episode. Not a ton happened that was necessarily exciting, but a lot of ground was covered with characters learning certain information. And John, you just nailed it. It didn't need the action, but the action's coming. It didn't need the heroics, but the heroics coming. It was all about dramatic character payoff, and that's why it worked for me. What would you guys say was like the best character interaction for you this particular episode?
In this episode, hands down, Sam and Jon Snow.
Absolutely.
You know, it's been a while for them to be back together, and they have such a brotherhood and such a bond. And I love that Brandon Stark was like, look, he's not my brother, but he's pretty much saying he's pretty much yours, so you got to tell him.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I agree. I think that to me was some of the best interaction between Sam and Jon. I think that was the best scene of this episode. I would also say Arya and Jon reuniting was kind of great just because it gave me the feels. But yeah, I think I think you're right. I would agree with you on that.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on. Next question comes to us from Ray, who writes, I think they're setting Dany not to rule by showing her selfishness. I also think Winterfell and King's Landing will both fall, and the Greyjoy Islands will come into play big time. They did seem, both in the season finale last year and in this episode, they tend to keep playing up that their island, the Iron Islands, could become a very significant... Could we see... Remember, this is a short season, but at some point, could we see... like King's Landing fall, Winterfell fall, and they take their last stand on the Iron Islands, and because Reek is there and he's on their side now, that becomes, I mean, I don't know. Do you guys think that becomes an important part of this thing?
I think it's very possible because Cersei has no emotion and she's very strong, doesn't listen to anybody, but Euron somehow convinced her, okay, I'll let you sleep with me. There's some kind of twist there that he's got a little hold on her, maybe small, but there's something going on there.
Yeah, and she's not dumb. Like, let's not forget, Cersei is very smart. She's calculated in all the decisions she makes. She clearly didn't want Euron in her life and to have to, sleep with him in this episode, but she did. I think if you look at kind of the war strategy of what's going on, if they're attacking from the north and slowly going south, then obviously if the White Walkers can't get through the body of water between, where they're at and the islands, then that might be the only place that you can go to survive.
Right.
All right, we move on now. John DeBenedict writes, also, scene of Sam learning about his father and brother was heartbreaking. One of the things, Benioff and Weiss, they do that whole little making of this episode thing afterwards, and they talked about how his performance in that, two completely different reactions to finding out that his father was dead and finding out his brother was dead. And it was an accumulative effect. And again, it just pissed me off about Dany. Like, she's saying there, she basically had they had it coming kind of attitude. And it's like, dude, Sam should have smacked her across her stupid mouth. Anyway, I don't like Dany.
She always has that personality. As soon as they don't want to bend the knee, you're going to die, you know?
Yeah, she's cold. She's cold.
And the whole thing about, I'll only agree to help save all of humanity if you bend the knee.
Right.
Like, that always bothered me last year. And that Jon Snow was big enough and the true hero to go, okay, I'll do it. Yeah. Like, Baratheon wasn't, her father wasn't, she isn't, Jon Snow's our guy. Mm-hmm. Either that or Lady Mormont, whatever. She's going to rise up and sit on the throne by the time we get to the end of it all. Here, okay. Let's see, where are we at next? Alexander Helmer writes, whatever they want, Daenerys is so savage. Oh yeah, the comment about, and what do dragons eat? Whatever they want. But again, jerk.
I know.
Right.
What a jerk thing to say.
Yeah.
You just come into this kingdom that nobody wants you there. Everybody's uneasy about this. The only reason you even agreed to help save humanity, including yourself, is if they suddenly become your subjects. And you throw out a line like that. I don't know. I'm loving hating Dany, but that I mean, it was, on one hand, I agree, it was a bit of a savage line, but on the other hand, wasn't it a jerk thing to say?
It was just like no respect for the place that she's there for. She's like, oh, you guys, I'm doing you guys a service.
Yeah.
But ultimately, they should be together to join forces, and she just doesn't realize that.
And let's be real, she's nothing without her dragons.
No.
And in this episode, she found out that one of her babies is still alive. And I think if anybody's a threat to her, it's the Night King, because he obviously knows how to battle against her dragons. He has one of his own now.
All right. Next one was a great line in the movie. Rashiel P. writes, my eyes were always blue. That was great. Watch it, lads. His eyes are blue. My eyes were always blue. that was a great line near there. That was a wonderful, wonderful line. David Romero writes, hey, John, longtime fan. Thank you so much. First time super chatter. Thanks a lot, David. Do you think Cersei is redeemable if she eventually sends her army to Winterfell? Love your work. Here's one of the great things about this show. Other than Joffrey and other than was Battle of the Bastards opponent. Why am I freezing on his name? The bad guy. The big bad guy of the show.
Bolton?
Yes. Ramsay.
Oh, gosh, yes.
Other than those two and the Night King, there is no truly pure as snow good person and no truly dark as night villain. Like even the Hound. I mean, the Hound is a great example of that, of there's multiple sides. And with Cersei, they even did, now most of it, there's not much of a heart left. But she's also been a victim of a lot of things. Remember, she's lost all of her children.
Yep.
All of her children she's lost. That's a big deal. The whole walk of shame thing she was meant to endure and all that kind of stuff. That there were moments in this show that they show redeemable elements to her. Can she ultimately turn a corner? Can they ultimately have their Hobbit joining of the five armies sort of things? Can she give that? I think she can. I don't know that they will, but I do think it's possible. Do you think you're going to see Cersei eventually come around and start working with them?
I don't think so. She's ready to kill Jaime, who's heading over there.
Yeah.
Yeah, she has ulterior motives for sure. And Sansa was very smart saying, look, I don't know, Tyrion, how you can trust her after everything that we've been through.
That's exactly it. It's everything that she decides, it's questionable. So even if she did send her army, it's for not the reason that we probably would hope it would be for.
Right.
All right, let's move on here. John DeBenedict writes, if Bran wasn't the three-eyed raven at this point, Jaime probably would have caught a lot of shit from him when he arrived in Winterfell at the end. Oh, I still think he's going to. I mean, just the fact that he was sitting there like a boss, just like Jaime gets off the horse and just looked at him, right? Just like a boss. He knew what was coming. It was a great moment, a perfect way to end that episode. I mean, I didn't want it to end there, but it was the perfect way to end that episode. It was just brilliantly done. Alex Hania writes, that Jaime and Bran moment gave me chills. Those two literally set everything into motion. And it's true. Because that goes all the way back to season 1, does it not? Did that not happen in season 1?
Season 1, like episode 1. Out the window.
All the way back there. And this is the first time they're seeing each other again since. Oh, God, just the look on Jaime's face.
I think he has a lot of guilt. But at the same time, what he did, it set the domino effect for all of this to happen. It's
All
necessary.
right.
Yeah.
Let's go on here. Wild Bill writes, Endgame tickets on sale. What's up? Game of Thrones, hold my beer. I know. It's Rob has been talking about this a lot, but it's true. We've got Shazam in theaters. Hellboy, despite its rough reception, in theaters. Captain Marvel is in theaters. Game of Thrones is out. And by the way, we got Endgame coming in a couple weeks. It is an embarrassment of riches to be a genre fan right now. Absolutely.
We should highlight, I think you said that the epic battle is happening that Sunday of Endgame.
That's what they say. Yeah,
of the
the
Endgame.
weekend that Endgame opens is apparently the same Sunday that the Battle of Winterfell is happening.
Wow.
Yeah.
So there are gonna be some people with Endgame tickets on Sunday that might give them away. I don't know. I think there might be
It's gonna
some
be
people that
intense.
do that. Okay, Alex Hania writes. Kit Harington's acting like this is his first time riding a dragon. Oh, that was great.
Yeah, that was good.
It was really well shot.
It was
too.
yes. And that's the only scene where Danny was kind of endearing.
Yeah.
You know.
It was.
Yeah.
And I gotta say, as much as I wanted to see a White Walker take off Danny's face, the one line she said in this episode that I thought was really great, when he's like, she's trying to get him to get on the dragon, and he goes, what if he doesn't want me riding him? In that case, it's been nice to be in your company.
Yeah.
That was a really good line.
So, do you guys think that Dany is smart enough to have figured out
No.
the Targaryen
No.
blood?
No.
So she just thinks the dragon was being nice because
I-
she let the dragon
Yes.
ride.
I think that the dragons see her being nice to him, and by extension, she just thinks,
Okay.
Yeah.
oh, good, my puppies like you.
I think if and when she finds out, she's gonna be in denial about it. That's what I think, and then they might battle it out.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And then we're going to see that she doesn't really care about actual lineage to the throne. She doesn't actually care about what's right. She only wants the throne.
right.
And I think we're going to see that. Although, I hope she pleasantly surprises me. All right. Samuel Pole writes, that was a good episode if they had more than 5 left. Loved the John Arya reunion, but they still haven't figured out how to pace a shorter season. You know what, Samuel? I think I've been a little bit in a denial about that. You're right. I love this episode if it was a 12-episode season. When it ended, one of the things I said to you guys was, I just realized there's only 5 episodes left now.
Yeah.
What more do they have to come? Now, granted, we do have some longer episodes coming. Apparently, the final 3 episodes will all be like 80-something minutes long, which is good, so we're going to get more bang for our buck there. So we got to keep that in mind, too. So that's all coming. Let's see here. Alex Hania writes, didn't expect John to find out so soon that he's a Targaryen, nor that Sam would be the one to tell him. Gotta say, Kit killed it in that scene. Dude, both of them.
Yes.
Whoever the actor is who plays Samwise Gamgee, did him and John together. First of all, their reunion was wonderful. They played it great. And I think, Corey, both you and I were saying as the episode, please don't drag this out.
Yeah.
Please
I'm
just
so
say it.
glad they got it out the way.
Yeah, and why was that important? Why do you think, like, even for us as an audience,
Because
that
I
was
think it's a
important?
very, very pivotal element for the show and for all the characters to know, because it's going to change everything.
Absolutely.
Everything.
Yeah.
All relationships are going to be changed.
Now we just got to wait to see how many more out of the 5 episodes that are left until John tells Dany.
God, I really hope it's in the next episode.
I don't think he's going to have the heart to. That's the one problem with Jon Snow. I mean, he's noble and he's kind. He's got a lot of Ned Stark in him because he was brought up by him. But sometimes he's a little bit of a pussy.
Yeah.
You know?
Gotta say it.
Yeah, you gotta say it. And just like, come on, man. If you are doing this for the North, you've got to put your love aside, because Dany, you've got to see some bad in her. You've got to see some selfishness. You've got to see a little bit of the Mad King in her, right? So.
All right, let's move on here. Next one comes us from Jake C, who writes, episode 1 ended with Jaime crippling Bran. Great callback. It was
Yeah.
a fabulous way to end. And again, I don't know why I didn't even think about it. He's getting off the horse. He pulls off his hood. And I'm like, ooh, is he going to see Tyrion? Is he going to see Jon? Is he going to see Daenerys? And I didn't even think Bran, when that should have been the first name on my tongue, and it didn't happen, and it was the perfect way to end it. All right, Stormchaser78 writes, Sam's story is highly underrated and more in-depth than most people give credit to. I completely agree. My favorite by far, followed by Arya's. His really was, like, as far as the secondary characters go, like, you've got your Starks. Mm-hmm. As far as your secondary characters go, I mean, first of all, Brienne of Tarth has got a great story, and we didn't see her this episode.
No, we did not.
We've got Sansa's story. I mean, the Starks, of course. There's a lot of good ones, but you're right. I think Sam's has been a really overlooked one, and the fact of the matter is, they have given us plenty of hints over the years that he's going to play a pivotal role. Like, we didn't just follow him to the libraries for no reason, right? And I think it was really great seeing him play such a pivotal role in this particular episode, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
He acted his ass off in this episode, that's for sure, too.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to the next one here. Storm Chaser 78 writes, I can't wait for John to say, bend the knee. Oh, God.
Oh, I can't imagine him saying that to her, but that'd be great.
I know, it just doesn't seem like it's in his personality, but yes, I would just like lose my shit if he did that.
Right.
Yeah.
It's time. He's got to do it. It's time. He's got to do it. Okay, Alex Haney writes, mark my words, the relationship between John and Daenerys is not going to end well. There's trouble brewing, and I think betrayal is afoot.
And I don't think that's going to be John's fault. It's going to be how Daenerys takes it. She's going to be very, very upset that she's not the rightful heir. It's plain and simple.
Yeah, I agree.
Right.
Or maybe she does. I mean, here's the thing. Maybe, like, there have been a lot of times in this show where she has really been motivated by wanting to do right by people and do what was good for people. There have been those moments. It's just that she's acted like a total dick along the way, too. I won't be surprised if she once again surprises us that when this comes to pass, there's going to be people like Jorah who says, no, you should be queen, you should be queen. But I don't know. I'm going to hold out hope there's going to be a moment where she goes, this is what's best for the Seven Kingdoms.
I can't imagine her doing that.
He is the legitimate heir. I've been fighting for this because I'm the legitimate heir, but if it turns out he is, do I become a hypocrite? Or do I do what's best? And I'm going to, you know what, as the biggest Dany hater in the room, I'm going to say there's a possibility that she does ultimately put what's right in front of her own things. I don't know that, but you're shaking your head over there, Corey. You just don't see that happening.
I just think that was like Dany season 1, season 2, and I think she's evolved so much and has worked so hard to become a little more cold and drop her heart and her feelings. Like, she's even ditched Dario, the people she's loved in the past, to get the throne, right? So I just don't see that happening.
I think the same question that, Sansa asked John about, did you bend the knee because you think it's right for the North, or did you bend the knee because you're in love with her?
Good
I think
question.
that same question has to be asked to Daenerys when that moment comes, when she does find out that John is the true heir. Are you in love with him enough that you will sacrifice what you have been fighting for to do the right thing? I can't answer that question right now. I actually don't know how she'll react.
Oh, and here's another question. How about this? If mommy and daddy fight, who the dragon side with? Because they're both Targaryens.
Well, maybe each dragon.
She is the mother of dragons, but I mean, I'm just saying.
He gets the bigger dragon, though. I'm just saying.
I think the bigger one's already hers, though.
All right, Daniel Kilgrave writes, I'm happy to see Tormund and others alive, but that White Walker child was a frightening sneak peek at the horrors to come in the season, I feel. You know what? I don't know why. What the hell was I thinking? That I did not see it coming. That little kid's eyes were going to open up behind him as he's giving his speech. Tormund's giving his speech. And all of a sudden, and I said out loud, well, all of us were, there was a bunch of us in this room, and like, oh God, when the kid's eyes open, right? Like, that was freaky stuff.
That could have been the end of Tormund right there if he got loose, but thank God he died.
Oh, the kid, you mean?
The kid.
Yeah,
Yes,
the kid.
thank God the kid died, absolutely. Okay, let's see. Alex Hania writes, they seem to be setting up Dany as a flawed leader. Sam doesn't trust her. Sansa doesn't trust her. Arya warns Jon to remember his family. This is all leading to something unexpected, and I can't wait. It is. They are setting... This is the great thing about this show. They know how to set up inter-character drama. And they're doing it great. And yes, it's got dragons as the backgrounds. And yes, it has big battles and marching armies of the undead and all that kind of stuff as the background. But at its core, the heart and soul of this show is inter-character drama and the inter-character dynamics and the way they have played them. And just the way they set all this stuff up is unbelievable because there is trouble brewing. And then where's Tyrion going to fall in all this? Tyrion, who's in love with Dany, clearly he's in love with Dany. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that we're going to see here coming, and I think you raise a really good point there, Alex. All right, Alex also follows up by writing, how do you think Bronn's bounty hunt for the Lannister brothers will end up? I think Tyrion will end up killing Bronn.
Oh, no, I don't think so.
I think Bronn changes sides. This guy who's because remember in the season finale last year, Tyrion and they were walking along the path to where the meeting place was. And Bronn and Tyrion are having that conversation. He goes, whatever she's paying, I'll double it. And it's like, whatever. And he goes, I'm just doing whatever is best for me. You know, Bronn, all that kind of stuff. I think he goes against that. I think he's going to go out there because he has a great relationship with Jaime. He has a great relationship with Tyrion. I don't think he does it. I think he changes sides, joins up with Tyrion again. We see these two together again and with Jaime again. That's what I think. How do you guys see that working out?
I hope that happens, but it wouldn't shock me too much if he decided for the gold, for that bucket of gold waiting for him, he's going to do what's right for himself. But ultimately, he might be aware that the world's kind of coming to an end.
You would hope so.
He might want to, at this point, go where his heart goes.
Right. So I agree. I think I'll give him the benefit of the doubt that he will not kill the brothers. I don't think he would do it.
All right. Someone stole my username rights. Bran seems to have a plan. Everything he said or did was a defined purpose. I wonder if his sisters know. First of all, that dude, Bran was just like, I don't got time for your shit, everybody. Look, your dragon's dead. They broke one through the wall. They're coming. Everybody clear now? Cool. I'm going to go sit outside and wait for Jaime. I mean, that was Bran this episode.
That's pretty much it, yeah.
I mean, he is, I think even in season 7, he was, I guess I'm the three-eyed raven, and now he's like, bitch, I'm the three-eyed raven.
Right.
I mean, like, that's what he is now, right? And he's kind of owning that. And I still think there's a possibility he is the Night King.
I mean, every
A
time,
future version, you know.
every time he is in a scene, I get chills.
Yeah.
Because you don't know what he's going to say, and everything that he says is important, or everything that he
Absolutely,
shows.
yeah.
Emotes, right? He doesn't even have to talk. It's crazy.
All right, let's move on here. Daniel Kilgrave writes, favorite reunion in the episode. I love Arya and the Hound. Oh, that was good too. You left me for dead. First I robbed you. But Arya and Jon was the best for me. I'm telling you what, that is one of the Hound and Arya's relationship.
Yeah.
Is one of the coolest ones out there.
Yeah.
I think they're going to do something with this a little bit later on.
Love hate.
Because again, in the season finale last season, Brienne and the Hound are talking, and they're talking about Arya, and it's clear they both have deep affection for her.
Yeah.
And I just love, you're a heartless bitch or whatever. Yeah. That's probably why you're still alive. And Wife's like, I love this relationship. God, I love this relationship.
I need a scene with the three of them together. Brienne, the Hound, and Arya. I know that's coming.
My favorite is the end scene, Jaime and Bren.
Mm-hmm.
Even though they really didn't see anything, just the reaction.
It just left in such a huge cliffhanger. We've been waiting for them. Like, what's gonna happen, right? Like,
and I think that after when the producers talk about the show, I think they talk about how we as an audience have known so much of this information for so long, and now it's finally nice to see all the characters learn the same information we've known.
Good point. Very true.
And I'm going to agree with you, Daniel. I think the best reunion might have been Arya and Jon. I that was a great moment with great heart, but also drawing some lines. It's like, Sansa thinks she's smarter than everybody. She's the smartest person I know. Mm-hmm. I mean, it was really good to see that, and there's a lot going on. Of course, then Sam and Jon's reunion.
Yeah.
I mean, that was great too. Okay, let's move on here. Kal-El writes, what did you guys think of the opening theme? Oh, I loved it. I thought it was great. It was definitely different. Again, I wish more of it was taken from a aerial point of view like the old one did, but still the hole in the wall, the ice starting to cover land, that was cool. How did you guys find it?
I think it was like, as we were watching it, I'm like, oh, it's totally different. And I love that they change it up every season. Mm-hmm. And I'm waiting for that that crazy super fan that analyzes each and every shot of that opening, because I have a feeling there are things in the opening that are alluding to what's going to happen in this season.
Yeah, I got a sense of a lot of clues about what's to come.
Yeah,
for sure.
Okay, let's move on here. Big 4Damn Alfie Gamer writes, hey guys, great first episode. Does anyone know the meaning of the White Walker's death swirls? Definitely a debate to be made. R.I.P. Ned. R.I.P. Ned Umber. Oh, is that the kid?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, so whoever had that kid, because we're all playing a fantasy Game of Thrones league, by the way, whoever drafted that kid, he's dead now. So I don't know who.
I think Spencer got points for him. So
hoping not me.
We are in a Game of Thrones. We are in a Game of Thrones fantasy league where we drafted, and like you get points for when they kill somebody, if they die, if they get naked, if they have sex, if they give a funny one-liner, if they end up in the throne, if they end up riding a dragon, or if
all these things, yeah.
Lots of points this week, folks. Lots of points this week.
But I was wondering the same thing. I mean, that symbol, where is that from? Do you guys know if we've seen it before?
No,
I didn't recognize it. Now, there's probably 1,000 of you guys right now screaming at your screens. You don't know it's this. Probably, but I just can't think of one off the top of my head. All right, let's move on here. Kal-El writes, I always had blue eyes, Torment again. That was a great line. Careful, lads, he's got blue eyes. I've always had blue eyes. It was such a Torment thing to say, too. Aaron Strelensky writes, I'm dying for the Clegane Showdown. Favorite story?
The Clegane. The
Clegane.
Yeah, the mountain and the hound.
Oh, my
God.
Oh, yeah.
Because, again, they tease that, again, in the season finale of last season, when the Hound and the Mountain are face-to-face, you know who's coming for you. It's like,
I think the Hound's going to get him.
Me too.
I don't.
You don't?
Really?
No, I think the Mountain's going to kill him.
Then who would kill the Mountain? You think he survives?
Maybe Arya? I don't know.
Maybe Arya.
Oh, yeah.
Could be Arya. Remember the Viper bested the Mountain and only lost because he got arrogant about it.
Right.
Like the Viper,
That's
and I
true.
think Arya can fight him that way.
Yeah.
If you try to fight brute for brute strength to brute strength, just raw, I think the Mountain's going to crush him, but then I think Arya could go in there and just pick him apart. I don't know. We're just speculating way too wildly now here. Daniel Kilgrave writes, have your predictions on who sits on the Iron Throne at the end swayed at all after this episode? I'm starting to think Daenerys won't make it there. No, I am really thinking she doesn't make it there. Look, here's a wild theory that came up for me today. In the scene between Arya and Targaryen's true son, what's his name? Not Targaryen.
Gendry.
Gendry.
Okay, the Baratheon's
Baratheon, not Targaryen. Baratheon. Yeah. Gendry. Theoretically speaking, he is the true heir to the throne. And if he and Arya... But then again, there's only 5 episodes left. I don't know that enough, but I'm thinking him and Arya kind of hook up. It gets revealed that he's the true king. He gets the throne. He dies. Now, it ends with Arya on the throne.
I think there's a possibility that no one ends up on the throne. Like the whole kingdom, monarchy, or whatever you want to call it, just kind of falls apart.
I don't. I think so. I'm still going to stick with Tyrion. I'm still
Really?
Tyrion. I still think Tyrion is going to end up being on. He has got a foothold in both Dany's kingdom. He's the hand of the queen. He is a Lannister. He's got footholds in all that. He's got a place amongst all of them.
But I think him being a Lannister doesn't matter in the sense that other than he's a Lannister and that he's rich, the Lannisters kind of ditched him. You know,
sure, but he doesn't exude the Lannister.
He was the hand of the king.
Yeah.
In King's Landing. He saved King's Landing. I don't know. I still think there's a possibility. I don't know for sure, but I'm just guessing. Troy Strauss writes, smile ear to ear when Arya embraced Jon. Yeah, it was a great moment that we've been waiting for a long time, and it happened, and it was great, and the conversation that followed was wonderful, too. Kal-El writes, what do you guys think of when Arya said to Jon that Sansa is the smartest person she ever met? Remember last season, Sansa was... behind Littlefinger's death, fooling even Littlefinger into believing he was safe. I thought it was a powerful moment. Like, do you think does Arya really believe that her sister, like, are they that now tightly bound, do you think?
I think so, and I just think it shows the evolution of the sisters, how much they hated each other, and now they just very much respect each other. No matter how different their journeys were, they came back together, and they're stronger for it. And it also shows how important the Starks are when it comes to loyalty of being a Stark.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Sansa, I mean, she's a survivor. I mean, just like you said, she's gone through so much, and she's still there, and I can easily see her being one of the last people left to take the throne as well.
She's going to do a lot of killing, that's what I think.
By the way, I love Sansa in this episode.
Yeah.
Like, she wasn't taking anything from Dany. It's like, she was not impressed.
I love that, too.
And, you know, even to Jon, like, when Jon says, like, do you have any faith in me? She's like, of course I do. But she's not afraid to stand up to him. She's not afraid to stand up to Dany. She's not afraid to stand up to Arya. She's not afraid to stand up to anybody. And I think that's the thing that Arya loves so much. I think Arya really respects that. And I think if it came to, I mean, they're all family, but I think if it came down to it, Arya will give her loyalty to Sansa before Jon.
Absolutely, in a heartbeat.
I think so.
So that'll be interesting to keep our eyes open, though. Nate Piacentino writes, Good, not great. Can't wait for next week, though. I don't know, man. I mean, I respect that and everything, but I thought it was great.
I thought it was great.
too.
I ate it up. I mean, just the inter-character drama, all that kind of stuff. It was a great start to this season. It set everything up and in motion. And now I think all hell's about to break loose, and we're going to have to keep our eyes open for that. Ben Rayner writes, great character episode for me. I love the characters. Mysteries are just a bonus. Great reunions. Absolutely. And that's what this episode was. Reunions, setting up the interrelational dynamics, and the big part, of course, is finally Jon Snow learns the truth. He finds out what his true identity is, what his true lineage is. Now, we got to find out what he does with it, and of course, I got to see what happens the next minute after Jaime sees Bran.
Yeah, I hope they open it with that next episode.
They've got to open with it.
They have to.
They have to.
And it might even just be settled in like a one-line dialogue between them. You know, I don't know. I mean, because Bran obviously has the upper hand here. He knew he was coming. He's been preparing to have whatever conversation that they might have. So let's see.
And Bran is a guy of few words right now.
Yeah.
So look, it doesn't have to be long to be satisfying. Even if it is just a short 5 or 6 line exchange, I'll be totally happy with it, but I cannot wait to see that. Okay, Colin Tucker writes, the ending shot with Jaime and Bran, love the smirk, absolutely. Bran is a boss, a legit straight up. He's gone from being the scared little kid, from being the paralyzed kid, the one who everybody has to try to save, oh no, how do I get out of this, to I'm the three-eyed raven, and now he's just like, I'm the boss, like I know everything. There's just something that's really appealing about his entire transformation there. Santez Henderson writes, love the episode. Game of Thrones is always about politics. Don't get why people hate the slow build. That's what makes bigger moments so special. I completely agree, Sanchez. And again, this is one, I'm not going to say it's my top 2, but this is probably a top 5 favorite episode of mine ever.
Wow.
Maybe top 6 or 7, but it's right up there. Out of the 70 plus episodes we've had of this show, this is going to be absolutely top 5. Maybe top 6, maybe top 6, but it's right up there. I loved it. And it wasn't just the politics. Again, it was the inner character dynamic for me that I was just eating up every second of it. It's something that I really appreciate about the show, and they were feeding me the most of that. And we'll get to the big action, the big battles, but those big action scenes and big battles have purpose because of episodes like this. Battle of the Bastards is just a bunch of ching, 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 swords clashing, ching, 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 and all that kind of stuff. But don't lie. I know that sounded like I was being racist. I'm trying to be racist.
No, but to your point, there was build up to that battle, right?
Yes, it's the drama
the beginning of that
behind
battle, we all hated Bolton.
Right.
We all wanted to see that fight happen. And why? Because there were episodes that built up to that moment. And I think this is doing the same thing. I don't think it was a slow burn at all. I think this episode was the culmination of the entire series so far.
How long we've been waiting for all these people to reunite and different and all grown up. And despite how much they've changed, you kind of still see the Stark loyalty, which is just, the Starks came back stronger than ever.
That's true.
Because they went through so much. Whereas the Lannisters went through a lot, but they were still always kind of in higher power, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Less struggle for them.
And it divided them.
Right.
Alan Valley writes, like Theon character arc, but I think he's going to die. I wouldn't be surprised.
I mean, probably.
I don't know what his reception's going to be when he goes to Winterfell after everything that he's done.
Yeah. But poor guy, like, he's always been loyal.
Well,
in that way, like he wants to go back and kind of rectify.
He did betray the Starks and killed a lot of people in Winterfell.
Well, here
and he hasn't always been the most loyal.
Here is his kind of like, let's tie up this character, have him go, probably die in battle for this family, and then that will be the end.
And again, remember the season finale, they had that great confrontation between Theon and Jon Snow, where, I mean, he basically just laid his soul in front of Jon, and Jon said, I can't forgive you for everything you did.
Right.
But the stuff that is mine to forgive, I forgive you.
Right. Oh, Jon's
and
so good.
it was a great moment.
Yeah.
It was a great moment. And I agree. I think he's going to die. I think he's going to have a great redemption arc. I think he's going to die fighting for the place he connived and treason and rebellion against Winterfell, and I think he's ultimately going to die fighting for Winterfell.
Right.
Yeah,
which is going to be a great completion to his whole redemption arc.
Right.
Yeah.
And this whole thing. Jose Garcia writes, "Hey John, this super chat is just for saying on Saturday's open mic, I don't know why anybody buys an iPhone. Haha, made my day. Also, hello Anne.
Hello.
Well, thank you so much for that, Jose. I appreciate that, and I hope you liked tonight's episode of Game of Thrones. Mark Banks writes, first time super chat, episode 1, 10 out of 10.
Wow.
Dude, seriously, Mark, I don't know how you do this episode any better. Understanding what they were trying to accomplish in this episode, I don't know how you do this episode any better. I loved it. It was perfect for what it was, and I'm totally with you on that. Thanks for sending that in. Stormchaser78 writes, Theon rescues Yara was awesome. He is a force now. I loved, again, that moment when he frees her and the first thing she does is bash his face. I love that. And by the way, I love Yara.
Yeah.
I love her.
Yeah, she's
like,
great.
She is spunky and a little perverted. She's got a bit of filthy in her. Like when she was hitting on like the other women and stuff. Like there's a cool, like, she's a rogue.
Yeah.
I mean, she's a rogue. She's got a little bit of Han Solo in her. You know what I mean? I love that character. Do you think she's gonna play much of a prominent part in this next 5 episodes, or do you think she's kind of played her part now?
I think she might die pretty soon.
Oh no.
I hope not, but I think she might have to go after Euron, right?
You would think that's her next her next goal.
Well, she wants to go back and re-secure the Iron Islands,
Right.
Exactly.
Because her uncle isn't there to defend them.
Right.
Right.
But who knows? We'll see what's going to happen there. Okay, let's see here. Canada rocks, and indeed it does. Sorry, we had a big jump here.
But yeah, also Yara redeemed Reek.
I know.
That was really nice. That was a good moment because they had so much struggles being brother and sister.
Right.
And finally she's like, I understand that you're kind of a Stark now.
Yeah. No, that's true.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move on here. Canada Rocks writes, loved Cersei's disappointment about no elephants. That was a great moment.
Yeah.
And I love how she didn't even let it go. It was even later in her own chambers as she's talking to Grace. She's like, I really wanted those elephants. I mean, that was a really nice moment.
I was just going to say, let's not forget just that really split second of her face after Euron leaves the room.
Right.
That
Oh, yeah.
broke
was
my heart.
sad, yeah.
That broke my heart. I mean, just again, her expression was
It's almost like she knows how bad she's fallen, but she has no other route to take.
Yeah.
You know?
She's made choices.
Yep.
All right, let's see. Henry K. writes, first line of the season is a joke about testicles.
Yes.
Oh, that's
it was.
right. They're in the
Yeah.
thing.
It was Tyrion talking to what's his name?
Oh, yeah. What
The
is
bald
it?
guy.
Freeze the balls.
Yeah.
Don't freeze
Yeah.
our balls off.
So how come you hate jokes about height, but you'll make joke about balls? Because I have balls and you don't. It's such a good line to start the season with. Megamax writes, Yara being saved so fast caught me off guard. Me too, but it's something they shouldn't have let linger for too long.
I'm okay with it.
And that was a good time. Like, she's left pretty much unguarded. He's not, the uncle's not on the ship anymore. That was the time to do it. Get that done and out of the way with, now move on with the story. So I agree, it caught me off guard, but I think it was the right thing to do. Daniel Kilgrave writes, are you more scared or excited for the battle of the battle coming to Winterfell? If yes to either or both, how much? Because it's going to be insane. Yeah, they've been telling and talking about this Battle of Winterfell for almost 6 months now, saying it's going to be the biggest battle ever done for television screens in the history of television. All this kind of stuff. And I think Winterfell falls. I think they lose. I hope not, but I think they do. I'm completely excited to see it. I can't wait to see that build up again. I think this is going to be the first big test of the united armies of men versus the Night King and his forces. Now they've got, it's an army of dragon glass at their disposal.
Yep.
Valyrian steel. We got a couple of people wielding Valyrian steel now. There's a lot of cool things that can happen. I'm just purely excited about it. I'm not scared of it. I'm excited about it. So how are you guys feeling about that Battle of Winterfell?
I'm definitely not scared. I'm definitely more excited. I think this is something that we've all been waiting for the White Walkers to come through and for this battle to happen. I think a lot of people are going to die, and a lot of people are going to possibly switch positions during this moment because they're all united, even though they're from opposing houses originally, right?
Yeah, no, I'm really anxious for it. I'm a bit scared as well, just selfishly as a fan, because I know, like you said, we will be losing a lot of those key characters, and it will be sad to see them go. But I am intrigued by the fact that you think people will switch alliances mid-battle. I like that idea.
It's possible. I don't know how, but I think it's possible.
Yeah.
All right. Wesley Hurlbush writes, do you think Bronn will take the gold and kill the Lannister brothers, Or will he have a good guy moment and stick with his only true friends? I think honestly, I think we've seen this coming.
It's tough.
I think it's been chipping away and chipping away and chipping away, and I think this is going to be his big come to Jesus moment. And I believe he's going to switch allegiances. He's going to join up, and we're going to see the Lannister brothers with Bronn, with their new allies and all this kind of stuff. And it's going to kind of be an Avengers kind of moment, I think. So but you guys are still kind of iffy on that.
I think it's more so how it plays out after the fact. Let's say Bronn does kill one or both brothers. I mean, what becomes of Bronn then? What is that story arc for him?
True.
So for me, I think I side with what John's saying in terms of I hope that he will take the side of the people who have been most loyal to him in his life.
Right. I think that's he can go either way, right? But I'm leaning towards him deciding to say, screw the Lannisters. The world's coming into an end. I don't really need money anyway, so I'm going to do what I feel is right.
All right, John DeBenedict writes, totally agree with the Euron Joffrey analogy. It is. It's kind of, he is the new Joffrey in many ways. Thanks for that, John. Derek Lugo writes, check the audio, homie. Look, I can't kind of check it right now as we're doing the show live, but hopefully it's holding up.
Homie.
Lycon Zero writes, best line of the episode, you gave up your crown for your people. Would she do the same?
I love that piece.
That was a great line. I still think the best line of the episode was, I had to choose between protecting my crown or protecting the North, and I choose the North. That's why he's king. That was but you're right. That line was great. Do you think that was the best line of the show? Or do you think it was another
mine
one?
was the bend the knee question from Sansa to John. I think that was, did you bend the knee? It's similar to your line, but or because you love her. I think that's a question.
I think the best line, and I don't know it verbatim, and it's more like the moment of that line coming together is when Arya's like, remember, family first, right? I think that was the moment.
Okay, Stallion HP writes, will John tell the people he's the rightful king? It just seems like such a non-John Stark thing to do.
Yeah.
He's not about himself. But I don't know. Will Sam and others convince him of the necessity and the rightness of it, that he will then do it? And that's the question. So I don't know.
I think if he sees Dany kind of shifting into that Mad Queen side, he might have to take control of her being so crazy.
Yeah. I mean, at that point, in that moment, he was very much in denial. So I'm with you. I don't know what he's going to do with that piece of information right now. Okay,
let's see here. The Alpha Nerd writes, do you think Rhaegal will choose John over Dany?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think so too.
Really?
Yeah. I think a dragon attaches himself to a specific Targaryen. I mean, I obviously don't know that lore, but that's my...
She can't hoard all the dragons, right? I mean, she already got rid of one, so...
she
lost one.
Okay. Hey, this is from Norman Ali, who writes, hey, John, love your show. Thank you so much. But I was wondering how Bran and Sam will convince the others that John is the rightful king. Well, I was thinking about that, too. Number one, everybody in Winterfell already believes Bran. The Winterfell is so loyal to the Starks, it's crazy.
Yes.
And they'll believe him because he is a Stark. They'll believe him. From Sam's point of view, he's got paper, he's got documentation. That's the thing. He has documentation to support it. So while they may have a hard time convincing anybody outside of their immediate circles and Winterfell, they may have a little bit of a hard time convincing, say, Jorah. They may have a hard time convincing Tyrion. They may have a hard time convincing. So that becomes like, I know we're just supposed to believe you can see the past, present, and future. I mean, that might be it. Do you think this can be a hard time, or?
The thing is, I think people are going to believe what they want to believe, and I think a lot of them want John to be on that throne. So I think it's going to be a little easier than we expect.
Yeah, I think in Winterfell it will be a no-brainer for them to believe that piece of information. But the loyalty that some of these characters have to some of the other characters who are up for the throne, I don't know how you convince them. And whether or not they believe it or not, they're still going to pursue the path that they were on already, I think.
All right, let's keep moving here. Ryan Lohner writes, no one would have blamed the opening credits guys for resting on their laurels and slacking off, but instead we got that I don't know. They had almost 2 years. They almost two. Here's the thing, Ryan. They had nearly 2 years to put together a new 2 or 3 minute opening credit scene. Mm-hmm. I would have blamed them. I would have blamed them because the political landscape has changed. The same opening credits before wouldn't have worked now. They've had and they have over the years. They've had to upgrade and change those things. And you had nearly 600 days to put a new one together. So I think it was appropriate. I would have called it into question a little bit if they didn't upgrade the opening a little bit. That's just the way I feel, Ryan. All right. Ryan Lerner also writes, what are the odds they'll actually remember to pay off Mel's "We Will Meet Again" to Arya back in season 3? I don't even remember it. I don't remember it. I can't even remember who Mel is.
Who is Mel?
I can't even remember who Mel is right now.
No.
5 years ago.
Can't remember.
Sorry, guys.
So there you go, Ryan. You got me. I'm stumped. Like I said, I'm not the biggest Game of Thrones fan in the world. I mean, I'm a fan of the show, but I don't even remember that now. That was 5 years ago. Stallion HP writes, Westeros will be ruled by a republic formed from a head of each house. Could be so like maybe the Iron Throne is there as a symbol.
Iron Thrones,
and like maybe 7 chairs in front of the Iron Throne, each with a representative. Do you think they could do something like that?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's what I was kind of alluding to, or the fall of one monarchy. It's not really a monarchy, but for lack of terms, I think that it's possible that it'll become more of a democracy. I think that's what it might lead to.
I don't think it'll be a democracy. Like the house system isn't really a democracy, but it could be more of a republic. Yeah, so they could go something like that, Stein. I still think somebody's ending up on the throne. I still do, but that is a possibility. That is a possibility. Luis Zayas writes, "Is Amir was Brand looking kind of thick?" Do you mean Bran?
I think that was you. He don't look thick to me.
No, he's got a lot of layers on because it's cold outside. Is that weird?
Just hanging out, you know.
Winter has come, as a matter of fact. Chancey Hendricks writes, "This episode was like Christmas morning." Oh, I agree, Chance. I ate it up. Like I said, I lapped up every single frickin' second of this episode. I just absolutely loved it. Mr. Plus writes, disappointed of episode 1. However, I'm glad they got all the reunions and secrets out early. Now they have to deal with all the drama on the fly. Yes. Improv. Well, I mean, I don't know what there is to be disappointed about. See, that drama, the reunions, the interpersonal dynamics. This is the backbone and the spine of what makes this show great. Otherwise, it's just a CW, let's have the hero fight the villain of the week. Clash, 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 clash. It is that drama and that underlying thing that makes me love it so much. It is that fact they have these reunions and the revealing of secrets and all these sort of things that we've just been wanting to see on screen. And me personally, I love it. Now, it didn't work for you all that great, Mr. Plus, but I got to tell you, brother, for me, it completely sold me. All right. Cecil Manifold writes, one of my favorite lines was Bran telling Sam he was waiting for an old friend, enter Jamie. Right. You know what's funny? I thought he was talking about Sam. When Sam said, what are you doing? He says, waiting for an old friend. I thought he was talking about Sam until Jamie showed up.
Yeah, right.
And then that whole old friend thing. Like, did you think he was talking about Sam too?
Absolutely.
Do you now think he was talking about Jamie?
I think now that you point that out, yes.
I actually didn't know I didn't have a guess on who he was talking about, but now it totally makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's move on. Ryan writes, always awkward when your girlfriend's kid walks in on you, even if they're a dragon.
Yeah, that was such a good scene. I love the faces of the dragons, the expressions that they had in this episode.
It did have a lot of personification in their faces.
Yeah.
I mean, it was like the dragon was almost being a little bit of a creeper at that point. But I dug it. You're right, Ryan. That was great. All right, Storm Chaser 78 writes, I am wondering what weapon Arya asked him to make.
Yeah.
Yep.
Thought about that too.
I kind of looked at it. I was like, what is that? It looked like a little, I don't know, like a big matchstick or something.
See, I'm wondering
like
two things.
Yeah.
I'm wondering two things. It is a weapon specifically to kill the Hound, which I don't think. But, I mean, that's possible. Or, number 2, because she's kind of siding with Sansa, I wonder if it's a weapon specifically to kill a dragon.
I think it's that. I think it's the latter.
You think she's getting him to build a dragon killing weapon?
Yeah, I do think she has to have something, and it has to be built in that, what do you call it, stone that they have.
Dragon glass.
I do think it is. I think it's that.
We'll find out. It would be kind of small to kill a dragon, but who knows? We'll have to wait and see. All right, Cameron Turk writes, hey, John, I love your videos. I'm also a massive Game of Thrones fan. Thanks so much. I was glued to the screen as well and overall loved it, but I was always looking out for Ghost. I was hoping John would give him a big hug. No dire wolves this episode.
Yeah.
I mean, even when they're coming into town, I don't remember seeing any of them, right?
That's true. They're Ghost or Nymeria were both missing, but I think Nymeria has already decided to kind of do her own thing.
Right.
That was
She has her own
Right.
life.
There was that. But I think we're going to see a return there. I do. But yeah, that was kind of the missing thing. But as it was one 50-minute episode. They covered a lot of ground in this. There are still more reunions to be had, whether it's direwolves or others later on. How are the dragons going to react when they see their fallen dragon brother now?
Yeah, that's true.
Are they going to want to fight him?
There's only so much CGI
feel.
budget that they have, so probably they spend it all on the dragons for this episode, which I'm totally okay with too.
All right, let's move on here. Stallion HP writes, What I, Danny cuts off Jamie's other hand. Are you saying, what if Danny cuts off Jamie's other hand? I don't think that's going to happen.
No, I don't think that's going to happen. I even forgot he had a missing hand.
Especially if he's the only one to honor the Lannisters' oath to march forward, and he defies his own sister to come and fight for them because he gave his word. I don't see her doing anything.
No, I don't think so.
As big of a jerk as Danny is,
maybe
I don't think
Bran cuts his other hand off.
Maybe. Bran, sup. All right. T. Green writes, Braun will be used as a lure to trap and kill the bros. Yeah, Braun could be being used.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Like, maybe the queen knows he won't betray his brothers and he uses them as a trap.
That's a very interesting point.
Right.
But then again, why did the queen just let Jamie go? She could have had the mountain kill him there at the end of season 7.
She just didn't want to see him get killed in her face because she still loves him.
He is the father of her children.
Yeah.
All of her dead children.
Oh.
And the new one coming. Timothy Platt writes, Arya's line to Jon about family has a whole new meaning now. Well, yeah, and remember, because we have a friend who was over watching saying, well, I guess he's not family. But I'm like, no, he's still family.
Yeah.
Ned wasn't his dad, but Ned was his uncle.
Yep.
He may not be their brother, but he's their cousin. He is still a Stark. He has Stark blood in him. So he is both Targaryen and Stark. Which is
amazing.
And that's the one thing I love about Sam, too. Like, when Jon asked the inevitable question, like, are you telling me the guy who raised me was lying to me my whole life? And Sam was the voice of reason. He said, he had to protect you because Robert would have had you killed immediately if a living heir of the Targaryens were still around. And I love that he did that. Another reason why I like Sam so much. So much to like about Sam. All right. Betta Mama writes, Hodor! Yeah,
Hodor.
That's all I needed. Just needed Hodor to come back in there, too.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Alex Von Gollum writes, wait a second, let me ask you guys something. Do you think Hodor could be a White Walker now?
I don't think so. I think it's
I hope not. Yeah. I hope it's
That would be
done.
so awkward. Okay, Alex Von Gollum writes, Hi team, as the Night King now has a dragon, couldn't the swirl message be directed toward Khaleesi as it kind of resembles the Targaryen symbol? That's true. Do you think
possible.
Is that what maybe the symbol meant?
It's possible. I have no guess on what that symbol
Agreed.
meant for me.
Yeah, me too. So I take your guess.
It's like, hey, I got a dragon now too. I mean, that's possible. AS Plaid Movies and Games writes, Season 1, Jamie physically cripples Bran. Season 8, Bran emotionally cripples Jamie.
Yes.
That storytelling is fuck. I mean, it was that, God, that, look, when you can do, you have set something up dramatically perfectly. When you can just have two characters from across the street see each other and it gives a world of impact to the audience. That's when you have set things up right. And it was a moment that was 8 years in the making for them to pay off. Great observation, Plaid Movies and Games. I completely agree with you on that. Apex Caliber writes, D&J's child is on the throne with Tyrion as right hand. I don't know that they're going to fast forward that much time.
I think I would be disappointed seeing that.
If it was that's not a happy ending for me.
No, not at all.
No.
It's got to be John.
Hi, boy. I'm your daddy cousin.
It can't be both of them.
No.
It can't.
I'm your daddy cousin. I still like that. Logan Caliber writes, D. Drogo, J. Ragnar, NK, Viserys, Dragon Parallels.
You need to repeat that question.
Yeah.
I honestly don't know what Apex. Sorry, Apex. I have no idea what it is you're referring to there. Ranger 8 writes, I see Theon's redemption arc similar to Boromir's. I said that exact thing as we were watching the show, remember? I see Theon's redemption arc similar to Boromir's. I think he'll go down fighting for the Starks. I completely agree. For those of you who don't know, Boromir's redemption arc is one of my favorite character arcs in all of storytelling. Whether it's literature, movies, television, anything. who was also, by the way, Sean Bean, who is Ned Stark in Game of Thrones. Boromir's character arc is my all-time favorite in any form of storytelling. A hero who becomes entrapped by his weakness and then has the ultimate redemption, dying to protect those he almost betrayed. It is one of the greatest character arcs ever of all time. And you're right, while not as grand and not as big of a hero as Boromir is, it is a very similar arc, and I'm really curious to see if they do follow that through and that he like dies fighting for Westeros, much like, you know, Sean Bean died to protect those hobbits he almost betrayed. I think it would be a great thing to see, and I do hope they go that way. Pretty fly for a Filipino guy, right?
Nice.
I love the callbacks and parallelisms from the plot from the pilot episode. You know, one of the things they talked about, Benioff and Weiss at the end, was they did show all the parallels to the very first episode with Arya as a little girl. How young did she look?
I know.
As a little girl seeing the procession, then now fast forwarding to her as a woman. There was a lot of parallels. What was one of your favorite things that they did with those parallels from the first episode to this episode now?
I do like that one. I mean, I do like that they opened the same way they opened the entire show.
Yeah, right.
Just showing the growth of this one actress. She is now a woman. It's crazy how much she's grown up in this show.
Just everything's all full circle.
Yeah.
Okay, guys, we just have time for a couple more. We're going to finish off the ones we have here, and then we're going to call it a day. Ernesto Rivera Morales writes, my favorite line, whatever they want, then that look. Danny's changed a lot. Yeah, again, I thought that was a pretty dick thing for her to say. It was badass, but also kind of a dick thing for her to say. Still Hammered writes, it seems to me that Jon's flaming sword will be a dragon, and he might have to sacrifice Daenerys in order to win the Walker War.
I don't see him killing her. Is that what they mean by sacrificing her?
Well, I don't know if him killing her, or if he might have to make a sacrifice as in, oh, I either have to go and stop the walkers over here, or I have to go save her, and he's got to choose something else. I mean, look, the way the drama plays out in these shows, I wouldn't doubt it at all if they put him in that kind of a situation.
Yeah.
Oh, they definitely will put him in some kind of situation.
They have to, because I don't think he will do it on his own.
No.
Yeah, so Still Hammered, I think you're honestly onto something there. Let's see. Ryan Lohner writes, Melisandre looks into Arya's soul and gets freaked out, then says, we will meet again. Oh, is that Mel?
Mel.
Oh,
yeah.
Mel.
That's
well,
right.
You were asking, actually, where's Melisandre? You were just
she's
asking
coming
that.
back. I always thought when she left, she was going to come back.
Of course.
For sure.
She
But
has to come back.
how? And I think somebody in our group was asking, does the, what do you call it? The light, the power, does that come into play in this season as well?
We're going to find out.
The God of Light. That's what it is.
Yep. Cade W writes, stay back, he's got blue eyes. I mean, again, so many of you guys have been writing that, and it's true. Stay back, lads, he's got blue eyes. Oh, he's got blue. It's such wonder, and especially with the heaviness of everything I've been building in that episode, to have a line like that was perfectly timed and perfectly placed. I just loved it. All right, final question of the night, guys. Cade W writes, this episode flew by. No kidding. Actually, a couple of people in our group tonight said, really? It's over already? I mean, it was pretty quick. That episode flew by. Maybe it was that good, or maybe it's because it's been forever. Either way, hell yeah. Listen, guys, honestly, I think Game of Thrones Season 8, the final season, is off to a great start. If we get 5 more episodes of the quality of this episode, count me in. I thought the inner character drama, the inner character dynamics, the reveals, the secrets, the reunions, it was all gloriously satisfying for me as an audience member, and I just ate it up, and I know you guys did too. So just kind of sum up your feelings on the episode for us, Anne. Just one last time here.
Okay, so we all waited. Like somebody said, this was like Christmas morning. It really did feel like the payoff for us waiting over a year and a half for this first episode. I think it was perfect. I think the pacing was right. I think it sets the foundation for what we can expect in the last few episodes. And I still don't know what's going to happen.
Of course.
And I think that's the beauty of the show, is there's so many theories that are floating out there that I love. I have no idea if anyone is going to end up on the throne, if Jon Snow is going to end up on the throne. That is all still questions in my mind, and I can't wait to talk to all of you about it every week.
Yeah, and I mean, so for us as viewers, we've seen all of these characters evolve. So when they reunited, they don't know what's been going on with each other's lives. So for us to see them reunite and see how kind of the same but different they all interact is just amazing. And I'm so glad they got the lineage out of the way, and I'm so glad that they got the Jaime and Brandon Stark out of the way. I think it was perfect.
And listen, guys, before we do sign off here, I just realized I skipped over a couple of questions accidentally. So let me get to those just here really quick. Logan Arivillaga writes, speaking of analyzing the opening, I caught at King's Landing they have a ballista pointing at the dragon skull in the Crypt Cersei must be testing weapons. Well, remember in a previous season we saw them testing that, right? They were bringing out those weapons, developing. She's developing anti-dragon weaponry. Right. And here's a theory I have. They might defeat the White Walkers in episode 3. And then the final couple of episodes are about now dealing with their interpersonal war.
Very possible.
Absolutely.
Then marching on King's Landing, and now she's got those weapons. So that's something we got to keep in mind too. Apex Caliber writes, Dany will just marry Jon. Problem solved. Well, that's something Tyrion pointed out. Tyrion pointed out, look, this solves everything. A proposal. I propose a proposal, is what he said. And, you know, the two marrying, that does solve a lot of the problems. Tyler Birdman writes, I think the Night King will die in episode... I was just saying that. I think the Night King will die in episode 3, and the next 3 will be the Iron Throne drama. Also, do you think the elephants will actually show up?
You know what? Funny. I would love it if they just go back to that. Like maybe the last episode, he comes with one elephant.
Or a couple of others. I mean, that is that's actually a really good theory, that we do see the White Walker stuff. There's 2 main things that need to be wrapped up. The White Walker stuff, and then the whole Iron Throne drama.
Yeah.
And... maybe you're right. Maybe the battle at Winterfell is the definitive final battle there, and then comes everybody fighting amongst themselves after that. You might be onto something there, dude. You might be onto something. Okay, guys, that will do it for this installment of us talking about Game of Thrones open forum discussion. Did you guys enjoy this? I know I enjoyed doing this. You want us to do it again next week? Just leave a comment in this video and let us know if you would look forward to us doing this again next week. I know I'd like to, but anyway, let me know if this was good for you guys or not. All right, I want to thank the people joining me. First of all, of course, my wife. Ann Campea. Ann, where can people find you online?
You can find me online by my name, Ann Campea.
And of course, Kaori.
You can find me at KAORIOUS everywhere.
And you guys can find me on social media simply at John Campea. That'll do it for me, guys. Thanks so much for being here. My name's John Campea, and until next time, bye-bye.